What if you've been doing all the right things, praying, believing, showing up to church, and yet nothing changes? What if, deep down, you're too afraid to say it out loud, but faith feels useless? That's the feeling no one talks about, but nearly every believer walks through. You quote verses, but they sound hollow. You worship, but the tears don't come. You pray, but it feels like throwing words into the void. And here's the truth most won't say. Even the strongest warriors of God have moments where faith feels like a dead end. Elijah called down fire from heaven, yet ran into the wilderness begging God to take his life. Faith didn't fail him. His soul was exhausted, and that might be you. But here's the first thing you need to know. Feelings are not facts. Just because faith feels useless doesn't mean it is. Hebrews 11:1 says faith is the substance of things hoped for, not seen, not felt, not proven. Hoped. God never promised you'd feel faith. He promised you'd live by it. The enemy's greatest weapon isn't always destruction, it's discouragement. He wants you to believe your prayers don't matter, your faith doesn't count, and your hope is in vain. But Psalm 34:18 says the Lord is near to the brokenhearted, especially when faith feels thin. Second, when faith feels useless, it's often because you've tied it to visible results. You expected healing. You expected breakthrough. You expected a clear sign. But what if faith is working underneath, growing roots where no one can see? Trees don't bear fruit every season, but they grow in silence. God is doing deep work in your life, and that work often begins when the applause dies and the fire goes out. The disciples thought Jesus had failed when he hung on the cross, but the silence of Saturday was just the setup for the power of Sunday. Third, stop measuring your faith by your emotions. Faith isn't a feeling, it's obedience in the dark. When you feel nothing, but you still choose to worship, that's power. When you hear nothing, but you still pray, that's maturity. When you feel weak, but still walk forward, that's real faith. Paul said in 2 Corinthians 12:9, "His strength is made perfect in my weakness." Your weakness doesn't cancel your faith, it proves it. And lastly, if your faith feels useless, maybe it's time to get raw with God. Not polished, not churchy, raw. Tell him, God, I don't see it. I don't feel it, but I still believe you are good. That kind of honesty moves heaven. Read the Psalms. David wasn't afraid to question, weep, or rage. And yet he was called a man after God's own heart. Why? Because he kept bringing his broken faith to the altar. And so should you. Even cracked faith is faith. Even a whisper counts in the ears of God. Don't quit just because you're tired. Don't stop just because you don't feel it. The very fact that you're still reaching for God in the middle of the silence means your faith isn't dead. It's just being refined. So hold on. Something is breaking through.